okay? We're going to start with the, as I said, the piracy propagation, but here we're showing you now a chart of the top 100 Alexa websites. Alexa tracks unique viewers on websites, thousands of them worldwide. These are just the top 100. Any one of the URLs that we have color-coded here are sites where you can either locate or directly download pirated content from a website. Roughly 1/3 of the top 100 now give you that ability to do so. What we've seen now that there's been a huge development shift in piracy. If you go back a few years, it was strictly you have to be computer literate as a user. Today, anyone can pirate a movie. A few years ago, it was a lengthy download process. Today, it's converted into instant streaming. You still have the ability to download today, but streaming we find is becoming the preferred method. A few years ago, when you looked at one of these websites, you could clearly distinguish it from a legitimate website. In other words, you could tell that it was a site where content was being pirated. Today, these sites have actually now a legitimate look and feel to the consumer, which becomes extremely concerning in the wake of identity theft and so forth. I'm going to walk you through an example now of what it was like a few years ago and still today to actually download a movie through a peer-to-peer website. This is a site where that is clearly an illegal website. The technology has been in existence now for a number of years. We're going to type into the search field at the top Star Trek 2009. The site is called mininova.com. Now the site gives back to us actually 63 instances of Star Trek, the movie. We then go and select one of those movies to download. Now once we've selected this movie, we need to have the BitTorrent software on our PC. So you need to first download that, and then once that's been downloaded, you're able to actually download the torrent, the movie to your computer to then view it later. Now, the download process on peer-to-peer can be a lengthy process. It can be minutes sometimes, but also hours and sometimes even over a day. So from a user experience perspective, not the best necessarily. Now we're going to walk you through the sort of latest technology. This is an example of how easy it is to upload a file. We're on a site called DropIo. At the top left, we're now inputting the name of the file that we want to create on the internet. We're going to call it box drop. And then we're going to select the file from our hard drive. We're selecting, in this case, a file called Cloverfield. This is the opening credits of the movie Cloverfield. And then we say create a drop. Now we're literally uploading the file directly from our computer to the internet. It's extremely easy. We're loading it effectively to a cyber locker, which is nothing more than an electronic locker on the internet that gives us a specific URL address where that file is located. We can now take that specific URL address and we can Twitter and Facebook that address to the world instantaneously. And then anybody who has that address can then access that file that same time. I want to draw your attention for a minute on the right. We have Time Magazine, the New York Times, and Mashable who are giving comments about this website. And I would say in a constructive way. In other words, users can actually upload files that are not illegitimate onto this website. The problem we have today is that sites like this are used to actually house digital pirated content. But obviously, by having these brands on their site, they're giving this legitimate look to the consumer. So the file upload has finished. Now we're going to show you how easy it is to actually find the file and to view it. And to do this, we go, the average consumer will do a search on Google, so we would decide in this case to go to Google and to type in watch movies online for free. Hit enter. We come back with a bunch of websites. We're going to go to the first one called Watch Movies Online. That's the first result that actually comes up before Hulu, which is a legitimate site. On this site, this is now the site Watch Movies Online. And what I'd like to show you here is that on the top left These are films that have just been released within the last couple of weeks, the last 2 weekends. And on the bottom, we also have films that have been where the DVD has not yet been released. In this case, we're going to select 9. That's the movie that was released last Friday. So the movie has not even been in the theaters for a week. What you see here, we're scrolling down and you can see the various instances of this movie that is now already available on various other websites. And in this case, we're going to select a website called ZShare, where the file is located. Now, before we actually hit play, I want to show you on this website the advertising banners. This is another thing that we find is that a lot of these sites now have revenue models that are based on advertising and on subscription models. You can also here, if you note above the screen, you can Facebook this address to your friends. But what we can also do is we can then, instead of viewing it in a small window, we can blow it up to a full screen mode. And here you have it. This is the movie that was just released last Friday in theaters. As easy, I mean, anybody can literally pull up this movie. And you had to download no other software. It was just streaming directly from your computer. Okay. This is an example of a site called ZML.com. And again, I mentioned legitimacy looking. If you look on the bottom, you see iPod Ready. It would indicate to the consumer that this is something Apple endorsed, which it hasn't, obviously. So this site is offering the consumer to download a pirated film to an iPod or simply to their hard drive or to burn the discs. And then finally, I also want to demonstrate to you that it's become easy now to actually view these pirated films in your living room, on your living room TV. So we have new technology that's been introduced, legitimate technology. We have Apple that has introduced the Apple TV, Sony with the Bravia TV and LG. And residing on these legitimate platforms are also legitimate third-party applications such as Boxy or Yahoo Widgets. However, these new user interface applications permit individuals to program applications that can reside within that can access now the content that I just demonstrated to you directly to your TV in your living room. And then we also would like to highlight the fact that if you go back a few years, you had sort of secondary advertisers that were driving these business models. Now these are premium advertisers and financial institutions. Here you see an ad for Netflix on the right side. On the top you have TiVo, you have Ann Taylor, Citibank. This is an example of the subscription models that are now readily available to be paid through PayPal, which is owned by eBay. And here you have an especially good example of how the consumer is lured into giving credit card information and personal data. We discovered just in the last few days that this site that shows on the bottom, Hacker Safe, the logo, which should indicate to the consumer that it is safe to use the site, inappropriately used this logo. We contacted the company. The company confirmed that there is no licensing arrangement with this company in particular.
We're going to have about 30 more seconds.
Okay, and we're just about done. This is an example of a customer loyalty program. The more that you upload files, the more points you earn, and then you can earn things like USB webcam missile launchers. Clearly, these are gifts that are targeted at teenagers. And then finally, I want to make the point that this industry embraces broadband. Each one of the studios has a separate distribution organization that is whose charge it is to go out and to enter the licensing arrangements with broadband companies to offer our films over broadband. In the case of Paramount, by the end of this year, we will actually have 200 of these deals in place. We are offering already 600 of our films for download and 200 for streaming. So it's something we totally embrace. It's part of the growth of our business going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much.